Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AMHQ Early on this Tuesday, August 16th. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
And I'm Ana Rodriguez. We've got both deadly floods and heat that will continue to be stories today. More than 21 million people are under a flash flood watch. And there's also the threat of severe storms facing some 51 million people in the Northeast alone. We know that in the Mid-Atlantic, 4 heat-related deaths this morning is the latest number.
All right, so we've got 2 places. Today, the red zone stretching all the way from Pittsburgh, even parts of Ohio, right up into New York, the Hudson Valley, right into Massachusetts, from Worcester to Springfield to Boston, all spots that could see severe weather. New York and Philly, you are in it as well. D.C., you know, we are just on that sort of edge of where we could see severe weather, but it's certainly a possibility. Any of those storms could pack a punch with heavy rain and with lightning, like we saw yesterday. Just a few isolated ones right here, but they packed a punch. Now, as we look at the TORCON, the Tornado Conditions Index, the area to really watch is going to be right along the warm front, and that stretches from eastern New York into southern Vermont and right into western Massachusetts. That's going to be the spot that has the most spin potential with some of these supercell thunderstorms that develop today. Out ahead of our system, lots of moisture coming back in. I mean, we've had it. We actually have never lost it. We get even more moisture today. Dew points are up. Precipitable water in the atmosphere of all layers is up as well. The most turning of the winds will happen right along the vicinity of that warm front, but certainly anywhere here out ahead of our boundary, we're going to see that risk for storms, bringing the threat for damaging winds. Now, here's a look at what we'll see today in terms of timing it out. This is one model rendition. It gives you a sort of a flair for what's going to happen today in terms of the timing. A lot of rain out there already. We're going to see that on the move by lunchtime. There'll be a couple of showers moving into parts of Ohio, into western New York. The jet stream energy is actually way up here, so you'll get some rain and possible storms up into northern Vermont and New Hampshire and even up into Maine as well. But the severe weather popping into the early evening, we'll see that into parts of Pennsylvania and then even northern Jersey, New York City. The chance for those storms into the afternoon and evening. About a medium chance of damaging winds. That's going to be the main threat with any of the storms. Heavy rain and lightning also a big threat with thunderstorms that we will see today across the area. And to time it out for you, Pittsburgh, we've got that chance. It may be early in the day, a couple of showers, but a better chance of seeing those storms getting into the evening. And you can see that goes actually right through. Now we're going to take a look at Minneapolis for you. We actually can see some thunderstorms here. A couple of storms are possible. Temperatures in the 60s, dew points coming back to the 60s. So it's an isolated chance of storms right through the Midwest. Let's talk about what's going on here into Minneapolis, into Des Moines, Mason City. You're right in between there. We've got a bit of a red zone right here indicating the risk of severe weather. Now, it's going to be damaging winds, maybe some large hail. It's not as big as a threat here as what you're going to see in the Northeast, but we got a little weak, sort of mid to upper level piece of energy coming on in, and that's going to help trigger some thunderstorms across the area today. Winds coming out of the south, bringing back up the moisture, dew points coming back up into the 60s. It's enough to feed into these potential thunderstorms here today. Plus, we do have our jet stream crossing right over here, and that will help to lead to the risk of severe weather as well. So to take a look and time it out for you, according to one of our models, we'll see some activity, maybe even starting the day as we've seen, but we're going to be watching for thunderstorms to pop into the afternoon. So Minneapolis, a couple of showers through about midday are possible, but take a look into this afternoon, a couple of thunderstorms moving into Wisconsin. Now, as we get the daytime heating, things really start to get more active here into southern and central Minnesota, and then down into Iowa as well. Now, we do have some flash flood watches up. That's with our other impulse and disturbance moving east here across the into the Midwest, into the, I would say, Eastern Lakes, into the Northeast. That's Detroit. You under a flash flood watch. We need the rain so badly, but yes, we're going to get it. But then with that other disturbance, we got that chance for storms coming in later in the day into Minneapolis. What about Des Moines? For us, we're going to see the risk actually into the overnight. We'll see thunderstorms continuing to go on into tomorrow morning. So get ready for perhaps a loud night ahead in places like Des Moines, Iowa. Ana Rittis.
All right, just about 20 minutes past the hour on this Tuesday. Good morning to you. We check in on travel and say hello to Detroit and Cincinnati.
Getting some much needed rain this morning in Detroit. However, coming at a tough time, right? Your morning commute is a wet one, as you can see out here. I-75, in fact, could be pretty wet today all the way from Detroit up to Flint and back down to Cincy.
Reports of heavy rain in the overnight hours while people were sleeping. It's also foggy So you may want to be aware of that while
And it's
you're
windy.
driving.
If we want to add something else to the mix, it's windy too. We've got a pretty strong southerly fetch of wind coming up here, and that's gusting to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Now, some of the heaviest of rain is on its way out right now, but you can see what's coming.
Yep.
So roads are wet at the moment because of that, and they're going to stay wet when this pivots in right through the afternoon.
All right. And if you're traveling into Cincinnati, if you're coming in from the west, let's say Indianapolis or the northwest, that's where you're going to run into it.
Yeah, a couple of showers this morning. You know, saw big rain yesterday up in South Bend, more than 7 inches of rain. Storms today have big rain potential, so that's going to be a nice. Streams and rivers and creeks will be an issue. We do have that in the forecast. We have a wet forecast for you stretching all the way from Texas right up into the Great Lakes. You know, yesterday 7.5 or 7 inches of rain into South Bend, Indiana. A lot of moisture potential continues today and tomorrow. We'll see that actually right from the southern plains into the southeast and into parts of the mid-Atlantic. Now, today is your day for severe weather, but then we have another sort of batch coming in, a chance of thunderstorms in Chicago by Thursday. And then by Friday, we see this front. This is finally our sort of change-making front. This is going to be coming in on Friday, bringing us the risk for storms, possible severe weather right through the upper Midwest. And as it moves east, behind it, there's going to be a break. There's going to be drier air. There's going to be cooler air. And you'll see that in places like Fargo on Saturday. By the time we get to Sunday, Chicago, things are cooling down for you, 77. And we'll see if we can get this into the Northeast by next week. But it doesn't happen before the end of the weekend. I mentioned that the webcams, they have a really great webcam system in Mexico. Yes, they tweet them out. They send them out. You can see them. In fact, they focus on the tropics a lot.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could have webcams across the Atlantic?
That would be awesome, actually, so we could see what's happening with every single blip out here that we are watching on the satellite. So a couple of areas to watch as we look at the tropical update. We got 2 in the eastern Pacific, 1 over here in the Atlantic. This is Invest 98L. Yesterday we were keeping an eye on this thing. It has the potential to develop, but I'm going to take you into the forecast showing you the track is very important as well. So right now, winds estimated 30 miles per hour, the pressure 1,008. It's got a chance. You know, it's in an atmosphere a little bit more conducive. One concern before that was just too dry, and it looks like it sort of found sort of a sweet spot for it to sort of to sit for a bit and develop. Now, 70% chance of this becoming a tropical depression or a tropical storm. But take a look within the development area. See sort of how this is pointed up here in this direction. It's likely to make a turn and make a curve as we look at the area where this is going to track and the area that we're going to watch for future development from 98L. So it's not likely to be a threat to the U.S. Certainly something that we got to keep watching, but when you look at all of the models and the way that they are taking this out here up into the northern Atlantic, not a concern back to land. Looking at the longer term models, though, I saw another little wave coming off here, which actually could be the next one that we have to watch over the Atlantic. So things are active, as you would expect, as we get closer to that peak of the Cape Verde season in the Atlantic. On the Pacific side of things, we had a very busy July and start to August. Now things have sort of relaxed a bit. This little wave only has about a 10% chance of developing here. We're watching that area right here getting into the central Pacific, and the other spot that we're watching too. It's a very low chance, but this one a little bit closer to Hawaii. So of course we'll keep a close watch on it. It has about a 30% chance of developing. You know, anything in close proximity to Hawaii can stir up the waves and send some swells. So we'll keep an eye on some of those south and east facing beaches as we get into the next 5 days. Anna Rittis?
Keeping an eye on Chicago this morning.